I understand every single person on a different journey with a different relationship with someone that they might describe as toxic or they might describe as not a great relationship, whatever it might be. We have to still understand that you can still control your own emotions, your own reactions, and the way that you treat people. You can choose where you spend your time. I was in a drive-through the other day and I grabbed my coffee from the window and I couldn't pull forward because the car in front of me was stopped and the car in front of him was also stopped, waiting to pull onto this little road in the parking lot. Of course, the first car that was holding us all up was seeing cars and couldn't pull into the place to continue the traffic flow. And the guy in front of me didn't have much patience that day, and therefore he honked his horn to hurry this guy up. Well, the guy couldn't hurry. He was waiting for other cars to pass. Well, this guy puts his hand out the window like this and says, "Keep going, let's go already." The guy in front puts a hand like this back to him and pretty much stating, "I can't go, buddy, relax." Well, that guy interpreted this, the second guy interpreted that hand as like a, I don't know, a power move, maybe something weird. It really tested this guy's ego because he got out of his car and said, "What'd you do? You want to go? You want to fight? Let's go handle this right now." And he starts just talking back and forth. And I'm like, oh my goodness, me and my wife are just trying to simply go on to our next task in the day, running some errands. This is ridiculous. And so I'm just about to poke my head out the window just to say, hey, move it along to the parking lot, guys, if you guys want to fight or prove whatever it is you need to prove, and let us go on about our day. It's amazing. As we drove away, me and Jess were talking, and Jess was like, it's so crazy what people will use their limited amount of energy that we have every single day on. And when someone has this ego side to them that always gets in the way, it's unbelievable what it can cause in their life for pain or relationships ending or just own bitterness. In fact, the Bible actually talks about this. We see this in Hebrews chapter 12. And it's verse 14 to 15. We're going to read this together today. It says this: "Work at living in peace with everyone, and work at living a holy life. For those who are not holy will not see the Lord." Then in verse 15, it says, "Look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Watch out that no poisonous root of bitterness grows up to trouble you, corrupting many." This verse is literally saying exactly what I experienced in this drive-through waiting for my coffee, okay? It's unbelievable when we hang on to hurt and let it fester or let this ego take over in the world that we live in. Poisonous roots, this verse says, starts to take hold. When poisonous roots start to take hold, you start to realize, let's say as a man even, you have this ego, a part of you that if anyone disrespects you anywhere, we have to deal with this right now. Not this just water off a duck's back, whatever, that guy or that girl's obviously hurt themselves and trying to figure out their own journey right now. Maybe they're having a bad day, whatever it might be, and just allowing it to just be water off a duck's back. But many people don't do this because they allow something to fester. But what I love, and it's one of my things I live by every single day, I remind our family of it, I remind me and my wife of it, is that we have to work at living with being in peace with everyone. We have to work at that. Why have some type of conflict be in between? And there might be comments on this video that says, well, you don't know what I'm dealing with this person. Yes, okay, I understand every single person on a different journey with a different relationship with someone that they might describe as toxic or they might describe as not a great relationship, whatever it might be. We have to still understand that you can still control your own emotions, your own reactions, and the way that you treat people. You can choose where you spend your time. You might say, well, Zach, I live with my parents and I'm 22. Okay, well, if it's a terrible environment, then move out. Go get a job and move out. Figure it out. There's something else that we can do here to make sure that we can live at peace with everyone, because every relationship, of course, they have to allow it to a certain degree, but your response could remain peaceful and you could walk away in peace. You could diffuse in peace. The Bible talks about in Proverbs saying, just kind of talks about whispering or saying something very nicely stirs away and turns away, wrath. It turns away anger. It turns away people that are yelling. And man, I've seen guys that respond completely normal and completely at peace, and it makes someone who's really angry usually chill out and walk away, or get more angry and walk away, and that's their problem because it just gets a little bit ridiculous. But you have to stay at peace with everyone. This is what the Bible says. And it's not just because it's a rule you have to live by. It's just the best way of living. If you want to live a life where you don't have a poisonous root that's taking hold of you. See, we need God's grace, and that might have actually made you go, oh, what did that verse just say? It says, look after each other so that none of you fails to receive the grace of God. Okay, we know that God gives his grace freely. So this verse is not talking about God withholding grace. That's proven in many other verses, if you cross-reference, that God's grace is given to all the time. His grace is there. It's sufficient for us no matter what. But if you live your life with ego, with bitterness, with resentment, you are not going to feel that grace that God is sending your way. You're going to feel always in this place where you don't know what to do, where to go, how to act, how to have relationships, how to find common ground and peace with people. We need God's grace, and it's freely given to all. But if you let your ego get in the way, you'll never experience God's grace that he's trying to give you every single day. Okay? It's hard to live at peace with everyone. I get that. And many of you are thinking that right now. But your life will be much better if you choose to do it. It is a choice. It's getting over your own self. The person in front of me in that drive-thru could have just got over his own self. Zach, you might have been in a rush. Okay, if he was in a rush and he decided to stop at a drive-thru, that's his fault, okay? You are now putting yourself into the elements of every other people, of every other restaurant, of waiting for your food. That's just how it works. And when you make that decision, you just got to take a step back and go, you know what? I'm not going to need to go I'm not going to have to speed over to try to figure this out. So it's kind of funny. Another pet peeve of mine is when people think speeding for a 10-minute drive will get you there any quicker. If you actually do the math and you go 10 over, which is illegal, so don't do that. You get there I think it says 20 seconds earlier or something like that. Nothing monumental. If you're 5 minutes late, whether you're 10 minutes late, you're still late. So it's just embrace that, live at peace with everyone that you pass by in that rushed state, and realize that God still has an amazing plan for you and you're going to be okay. But instead, this guy uses his energy that day, the limited energy that he has, to almost get into a fight over the fact that he got his coffee and he's waiting to pull back onto the road. And this guy was just taking a little bit too long for him. Can you imagine? Now explain this. Explaining to someone that you got into a fight that day, okay? It'd be so funny because then the next question people would ask you is, well, why'd you get in a fight? Well, this guy was taking too long getting back on the road. Oh my goodness. The Bible is very clear. Live at peace. Work at living at peace with everyone. The Bible's saying work at it. It means that it's actually going to take work for you to get there and live at peace with everyone. Bitterness can start small, and it almost always does start small. It's something very little that happens in your day that you allow to fester, that you think on, that you remind yourself of, and you don't allow yourself to forgive. But if it's unchecked, it turns into a poisonous root. And if you've ever seen a tree, that root system is very strong. And so these poisonous roots can be very strong. They can be very hard to uproot. They can be very hard to cut off. But when you go back to the word where it says you have to work at living at peace with everyone, it'll change your relationships and everything that you do. You only have so much energy to give every day. And make sure you focus on things that can build people up, that can value people. And if someone's not being easy to value and they're just not allowing you to do that, then move on to the next person. Because I guarantee someone else on your drive, at work, at church, in your community is more than welcome to be valued by you that day. Use that energy in a way better way. Choose to stay and remain at peace with everyone that you possibly can, because that's what the word says, and you'll live a happier life and more joyful life doing it.